Beautiful. And we're live. So welcome everybody to the official OA Cheddar Christmas party. Hello. Hope you guys are doing well. Good morning. This is a rare Saturday morning Christmas party. Coffee over here at Cheddar HQ. Grant, Taylor. Grant, how you doing, brother?
Good. Good, Gabe. How are you?
Doing great, man.
Good.
Taylor, T-Money, how's it going over there, buddy?
Doing good. We had our Christmas party last night with our team. It went really well. Everyone had a good time. Kind of a late night for me because, well, nighttime for us is afternoon for them. So, but yeah, it was good. They had their first white elephant party. They'd never heard of a white elephant game before, and so they thought it was really fun to be able to steal gifts from others. So it went really well.
So this was a Filipino, this is when you say team, this is our sourcing team. So this is a Filipino first ever white elephant on Zoom. I'm assuming this is all on Zoom.
All on Zoom. And we found a website that helped us facilitate the game and went super smooth, and they had a great time doing it. So doing really well this morning.
Cool.
Gotta spend time with my nephews this morning.
So Taylor's recovering from a Filipino. Are you guys drinking? We won't even talk about that last night. Well, here's the agenda for today. I want to get this up front for those of you that want to know. We've got some very simple plan today. Our goal for this webinar was to hang out with you guys. And in a virtual world, I mean, Cheddar's been a virtual business, a virtual company since we started 3 years ago. And even before that, we were kind of laying the foundations for this group. And we wish we could get together in person. Maybe someday soon we will get to. That's been a dream of mine. Maybe in the next year or two, we'll get to have like an in-person meeting, but this we'll get to do. So we wanted to share some behind the scenes, what's been happening for the year. So our goal is to, one, celebrate the wins, wins for Cheddar, wins for you guys. So I want you to be thinking about your wins for the year, get those written down. So I'm going to ask you those in just a second here. And we want to celebrate you. There's been a lot of success in the group. And I think the majority of it, probably 90% of it's unseen. And we want to celebrate you because this is it's a small miracle to be successful in Amazon. There's really a lot of pieces. So we want to do that. Two, we want to talk about faith briefly. If you guys are into that, we want to share some candid kind of behind the scenes stories that we've never shared with the group before that have personally impacted us and is a big reason this group exists. And then three, for today, I probably couldn't be more excited to share this with you guys. And Grant and Taylor, I don't know how you guys feel, but we have been working on a project, a secret project. We've been calling it Project X, really for the last 9 months. And I've been hinting at it on webinars, and we've been wanting to share it with you. And the time is finally right. So at the end of this webinar today, I'm going to turn the recording off. And those of you guys that are on, we'll keep the Zoom on live. And we're going to give you a sneak peek and not just the future of OA Cheddar, but really the future of online arbitrage. And I truly believe this is going to impact our industry in a way that we haven't seen before. So stoked about that. That's our plan for today. We want to keep it casual. Part of our goal is to let you guys see behind the scenes with what happens at Cheddar. Taylor was just talking about some of the things we do with our team. And I want to start with that topic because our team is stronger than ever. And we've got great camaraderie. A lot of you, and this is stuff that a lot of you guys don't see, right? You get the emails from us. Great news, your Cheddar's ready. You guys have no idea what goes on behind the scenes. We've got a staff of over 30 now. I think we're closer to 35 with our US team. We've got about 5 in the US, higher than that, says Taylor. Taylor runs all that. So that's our plan for today. You guys ready to jam?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Let's get it.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, let's talk about wins. I want to celebrate wins with you guys. So if you are on, go ahead and type in the chat a victory for you this year. And we firmly, at Cheddar, one of the things we believe is that what you focus on grows. And so if you're a solo entrepreneur, maybe you've got a small team like Taylor and Grant, it's really easy to do the work. And Grant, you know this, just put your head down and just do the work day in, day out. And then nobody knows. Your spouse doesn't know what you do. Your friends don't know what you do. You know, to tell somebody that's working a W-2, you sold 100 grand or, 300 grand in a month on Amazon, they probably wouldn't believe you. So go ahead and type in the chat one of your victories from this year. And while that's coming up, Grant, I'll start with you on a Cheddar wide, and then I'll go to Taylor. What's one of the victories we've had this year that you're most grateful for as a group?
Oh man, there's so many. I guess I should have thought about this a little bit deeper, but I'm just really, I think one of the biggest victories in terms of just OA Cheddar and as a business in itself, right? In every business, the goal is to be successful and profitable. I think that some of the coolest things that I kind of hold to my, self and think, man, we got something going here is just the demand. I mean, how many people we're helping. I've had several conversations with sellers that have reached out to me and said, hey, dude, I'm like just about to hit 1 million in in a year. And I'm like, oh, and that's there's Cheddar's played a huge role in that. And those types of testimonials, those types of conversations really like inspire me, because I'm like, wow, like OA Cheddar is playing a significant role in helping people do, 7 figures a year. That's super cool. And, and then just seeing, and just a little bit of a pat on our back is just, and really this is a pat on the Filipinos' back. Cindy, everybody's done so well this year, and we worked so hard. We have such, I would say, very, very good systems. Taylor executes our systems, like crazy. And I just feel like we've all grown, and having, promotions that sell out in minutes, that, used to take weeks, or we wouldn't sell out, at all. It's just a cool turn,
Yeah, there was days when, 10 years ago I was doing campaigns that had 0 sales. So dude, you said a ton, man. You're right. There's so much. One thing that's coming up as you're talking, Grant, forgive me for interrupting you, man.
That's all good.
You brought this up, and I wrote this down, is team. Like, I am so thankful for our team, and that's not just you, Grant, and you, Taylor, and Cindy.
Hey.
Up here. Clark, our tech team.
She got away.
I don't know how she got up the stairs, Brian. Our team in the Philippines has grown tremendously, and if you guys have run virtual teams, I'd love to do more trainings on this in the new year, because I really believe team is one of the keys to success. And if I've said this before, and I'll say this again, we're going to drop gold nuggets all day. So first gold nugget that I'm going to drop to you guys, you've heard me say this before, is figure out what you're the best in the world at, what your strength is, and then build a team that supports that strength. And it's true for every business. If you're great at sourcing and you hate bookkeeping and the details, get someone on your team that can manage that. So our team's been solid. And Grant, we doubled this year. Let's call it. I mean, we went from 4 lists to 8 Cheddar lists, a Feta list. We've had a couple flips lists that have had their ups and downs, but we've doubled as a group. And I feel like the service and impact that we've gotten to help our community is awesome. So I see a bunch of stuff in chat here. Taylor, real quick to you, man. What are you most grateful for?
Well, you guys stole it from me. I was going to say the team. We started out 2020. We had 4 lists. I think we had around like 15 people on our team, and we made some transitions, and we put in a bunch of new systems this year, and expanded our team by double. And I was telling them this last night, that they just did an excellent job adapting, changing. We've doubled in size. That means double the amount of leads, but also double the amount of work to not only find those leads, but to inspect those leads, to prepare them, to put them on the list, to put them in our records where they need to go. And they just executed flawlessly. So I'm extremely grateful for the team over in the Philippines, as well as the team here in the US. I'm really grateful for our customers as well. I love to hear the growth that people have had. This was our first year doing online arbitrage fully, and our first Q4 doing it. And I feel like comfortable enough to say that, like, we've had a very good Q4, and I'm not chasing, and I'm not out in the store trying to, chase down the number 1 selling toy item and getting a bunch of grandmas upset with me in the toy line when I have, a cart full of that, hard to find item.
Right.
We've been able to kind of sit back and just buy more cheddar, and the results are speaking for itself. We've had a very strong November, a very strong December. So I'm just really grateful for our team, and then also to work for a company like this, and also to see how it directly affects us and directly affects others in a positive way.
For sure, man. I'm curious, how many of you guys would be curious to kind of hear some biz updates from Grant and Taylor? Because we talked about that briefly yesterday, Taylor, and I didn't want to spend a ton of time on it. But you guys, this is your first full year doing all OA, and you made a big shift, like you said, from not Have you done any retail arbitrage over Q4?
No.
Zero. Do you guys know how, you guys that have been around the group for more than like 3 years, you guys know how big of a deal that is? Grant and Taylor started 100% RA and have made the transition. So, dude, let's celebrate real quick. I want to, before we go any further, though, we got to celebrate. There's a ton of these comments coming in here, man. And this is good gold nuggets for everybody. We can all learn together. So, Jeff Vaca, OG, you've been around for a bit. Found a sales tax-free prep center. So simple win. Got the prep out the house. Attaboy, Jeff. Good to hear that, man. You mind sharing what state you went with? There's a whole bunch of them. I think we got a list in the group somewhere, don't we?
I think so.
All these, yeah, we do. Don Carter, automatic ungating on most products opens up my purchasing options. Yeah. Grant, you talked about this on webinars years ago. What's the key to getting auto ungating, Grant, in like 30 seconds?
Yeah, it's volume, right? It's how long have you been selling? How much volume are you doing? And man, I had narrowed it down to 3 things, and I can't even remember what the third one is. It's been a while since I've talked about it, but it's really just volume and how long have you been selling what you're selling. And so I think that's just the biggest thing is, and I'm curious, Dawn, like if you could, like when you started seeing auto ungating, how much volume were you selling around that time where you really started to see it take off? Because I think we've seen in the past, and this is probably last time I've really had this discussion, was maybe around like 10 to 15K a month. So I'm curious what Don had to do to get to where that really started taking off for him.
Good question. Yeah, we don't know the actual algorithm trip with Amazon. We just know time and volume. So you stay in the game, be consistent, have clean metrics.
That's it.
We don't have hard numbers for that. That might have been the third thing. Yeah. John Clifford, best year, 3+ year Amazon seller. John, congrats, man. Awesome. I'm curious, John, what made the difference for you this year? Mm-hmm. Why are you having the best year, man? That's a huge victory, I feel like, Grant, because, that's really our goal too. A lot of people, you see Grant done, you see $1 million sellers, like, man, I would love to be that. You don't wake up and sell $1 million on the internet. You just do it one sale at a time over time, and you build good systems. You learn how to make a process once, and then you build systems to duplicate that. And that really is the key. I mean, but it happens over time. So Kim Johnson, outsourced my prep. Another for the prep outsourcing. I personally like that. I was not a fan of prep myself. James Crenshaw started 4 weeks ago, 8K on Amazon and OA, and drop shipping on Facebook Marketplace had 9K in sales. Dang, that's a pretty hot start.
That's a pretty hot launch.
Did you sell $8,000 your first month on Amazon?
No, I have to know if James had some previous experience that gave him an advantage, because that's an awesome launch to his business.
Yeah. Do you remember your first month, man? Do you remember what your sales were?
Oh, dude, probably like on Amazon, probably like probably less than $1,000.
That was 7 years ago, right?
Yeah.
I'd be curious. Hey, Robert Brown, had my first 100K month this year. Congratulations, Robert Brown. I'm curious, what's the key to that 100K month? Grant, you remember your first 100K month? Do you remember one of the keys to having that?
Oh man, a lot of hard work and loans. I don't know how else to put it, man. Borrowing money and spending money as fast as I could. And a lot of learning.
Dude, I'm gonna throw this out here real quick too, guys. This is a family party. What's said in Cheddar stays in Cheddar. There is no condemnation. So if you made $1 on Amazon or you made $10 million, we're all in this together. So this is not a measuring contest. This is just us celebrating the win. So whatever your win is, we want to celebrate you. So don't see something like Robert and be like, dang, dude, he's crushing out 100K months. My 10K month isn't worth celebrating. It's all worth celebrating. You got to celebrate every victory. And that's the point of this webinar. What you focus on grows. Okay. And I want you guys to take this away. So the idea for today, we want to give you momentum and celebrate that with your team. Find ways to celebrate with your team. Taylor, I want to talk about this more later. You've done a great job at team building. I want to really pick your brain about how we've been able to foster this team, because you've been one of the keys to that. Having a white elephant Zoom party, little things like this for Cheddar, it's like little stuff that builds camaraderie. So let's see here. Deborah Lynn got to 200K in sales this year despite a crappy Q2 and Q3, with 2,800 in profits brought in December from Cheddar so far. Nice. $2,800, man. Every $2,800 counts, doesn't it, Grant?
Yeah, it does.
It does, man. Every $2,800 counts. Congratulations, Deborah. I think if any of us, I think we can all agree to celebrate. If you're here, if you're here at the end of the year and you're in the game, that's a reason to celebrate. This year has been brutal. Let's just call a spade what a spade is. Thankfully, praise God, we're in the online arbitrage space. So many other industries have been closed, retail, restaurants, so much other stuff. So praise God, we're in an online type business, right, where you can thrive. I've been thinking that all year, Grant. Like God's been positioning us all this whole time for this place, and we've actually been thriving. And I know so many people in this economy that are not. So let's be grateful for what is, right? If you got fresh coffee in your cup, you got clean water, you got a house over your head, you got a warm house, like we're the 1%ers, people. You guys get that? You're already the 1%ers. Okay. So I know we're all here to make millions online. I know we're all here to create freedom for our families. I know we're all here to make a legacy, but let's just be grateful for what we have, you know. It's easy to forget that, man. So let's see here. Dave Christensen, Cheddar helped me go from 10K a month to 30K a month. I'm a one-person operation. That's awesome. Dude, praise God, man. David, nice work, dude. What's working for you, David? I'm curious. 10K a month to 30K a month. Grant, how long were you a one-man operation, and when did you bring on your first team member?
I want to say about a year and a half of selling on Amazon before I brought on someone to, maybe a little less than a year and a half before I brought on someone to help me part-time. And that was my cousin.
So Charles was and he still works for you?
Yep. He's actually in the shop right now, packing it up.
Yeah. So Charles used to be, for those of you guys that are newer to the group, Charles used to be just prep for you guys. And now that you guys have grown so much, Taylor, you were doing the buying. Now now he's doing the buying and the prep. So he's doing everything. Who's vetting the leads? Taylor, are you still vetting leads?
I vet the leads and I make him a buy list, but he does all the ordering as well as shipping out, as well as managing our eBay store, as well as processing Amazon returns to us. I mean, heck, if there's one person I'm grateful for this year, it's going to be Charles for how much he does. Without any complaint or anything, he just puts his head down and gets it done. Like Grant said, he's here on a Saturday, and he's been here every Saturday for the last few months, just continuing to feed the beast, you know, for the rest of the year. And so very grateful for him as well.
We gotta bring Charles out on the show, man. He doesn't get enough credit, dude. He really, he's the guy behind the curtain. I mean, no one on our team gets as much credit as they deserve, quite frankly. So that's one guy. So you're doing the vetting, he's doing the buying, and basically everything else behind the scenes, minus bookkeeping and some things like that you guys have other folks doing. So pretty impressive, man. I think there'd be a lot of people in the group who'd be interested in finding out how to find a Charles. Type in Charles Charles in charge in the chat. Charles in charge.
Charles in charge.
Be interested in finding. Well, I'm just curious if there's enough interest in that. Hey, congratulations though, David. Respect, man. Keep going. So Melissa L, I can't pronounce your last name, finally got on one of the Cheddar lists, bought the Cheddar Black list for the second year in a row, and I'm up now 242% over year over last year. Couldn't be happier. Wow. 242%. I love the specificity. That's awesome to hear. I love hearing that. Taylor, Cheddar Black's been lit this year, man. We launched it and then we've been super quiet about it. How's the lead flow been on Cheddar Black this year from last year?
I mean, our team over-delivered like crazy leading up into Black Friday. Our Christmas chunks list. I mean, there were, days where it was hitting, over 20 to 25 leads a day. I mean, really just stepped up and over-delivered there. Our Black Friday list as well, extremely large. I mean, we had over 1,000. I think we had closer to like 1,300 line items of data points for Black Friday. So really just a ton of data. Cyber Monday, they did a really, really good job adding in data from there as well. It was a very successful year for Cheddar Black. I'm curious to hear what other people from Black, how they did. But I know we did pretty well on our Black Friday purchases and purchasing chunks throughout the buildup of the season, and it's still going. We're going to be running Cheddar chunks until the end of January.
Yeah, perfect transition to talk about that briefly. So Cheddar Black's been lit this year. If you're in Cheddar Black, and you've got results, type in Cheddar Black and then type in the results that you got this year. Be curious. We're going to be doing some kind of testimonial campaign here. We got to talk about how we can roll that out, Grant and Taylor, in January. But so here's the plan. Cheddar Chunks has been pumping for those of you guys that are in Cheddar Black. And we plan to continue to deliver those leads to you guys all the way through January. So you're getting an extra all the way through Christmas, through the new year to push you off strong into 2021. And then Grant, do you mind if I share the plan for Chunks after that?
Yeah, absolutely.
We haven't shared this publicly. So there's big breaking news. Okay, breaking news. This is the part where we'd have that like scrolling across the bottom. Okay. For those of you guys know, OA Cheddar is full. Like we had a few openings this month, actually more than usual. Cindy sent out an email and they're all full again. I think there was like 17 open seats this month and they've all been filled. Cindy did tell me, and she texted me before the webinar, we are going to have a few seats opening up at the new year. So I know you guys have been super patient. Thank you for your patience. We've always said from day one, we value quality over quantity. I have to make sure I get that right. So we've chosen to not rapidly open up more. I mean, we doubled this year in lists. We opened up 4 new lists this year. And we don't want to push. If we don't think that we can properly deliver value for the next list, we won't. So here's the deal though. We staffed up for Cheddar Black every year we do. That's why our team has grown, probably grown by at least 30%. Taylor, you probably know better. We've hired a ton of people this year. And the plan is when Cheddar Black expires, so at the end of January, come beginning of February, we're going to be opening up Cheddar 9. Okay, 99 bust a rhyme. Maybe we'll get somebody here to rap. I don't know. And we're going to open that up to Cheddar Black people first, so you guys will get dibs, so that'll get released. And then the plan is to release 10 sometime soon after that, probably a month or two later at the beginning of the year. And that's really our plan for next year. We don't have a plan to open up a ton of lists. We want to keep our list tight. We want to continue to improving our quality. So if you guys are in Black and you are digging it, we haven't announced this in Black yet either. You guys get first dibs at 9 when it rolls out. And then we're going to keep on trucking. So cool. Let's go back here. I want to take let's take about a couple more minutes of these wins. And then I do want to get to this announcement probably sooner than the top of the hour. So Grant, if it's cool, we'll maybe keep the webinar part tight here.
Sure.
Lori says, I survived 2020. I mean, that should be like a t-shirt, right? Yeah. I survived 2020. What in the world is going on out there? I survived laying off all staff in March, total restart in June. So she laid everybody off, total restart in June, suspended for 5 days in October, still crossed 500K Thanksgiving week.
Nice.
I mean, I'm gonna slow clap for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Lori, way to stay in the game and take some hits. Grant, that's really what it takes. I don't know. I appreciate the authenticity, Lori. Congratulations on hitting 500K after going through all that adversity. I'll say this, respect to you. Every great entrepreneur I know has done what you're doing right now. Has gone through the ringer. I've done it. Grant, you've done it. Taylor, we're all going through it together. There's obstacles and challenges with becoming an entrepreneur. If it was easy, everybody would do it. That's why it's way easier for most of America to stay in safe, comfortable W-2s. Because it's safe, it's easy, it's comfortable. Props to you though, man. Grant, what do you got to say about perseverance? You've taken your share of blows. What do you got to say about that?
Just keep fighting. Just keep fighting. I mean, I think if your why and your dream and your goals for yourself and your family are strong enough, and I think that's really what drives a person to keep pushing forward. And you're right. We have experienced some serious blows, you know. I mean, I would say that probably this year is the first year where I feel like, you know, I've gotten to this point, you know, in the year where we're pretty much, it's over and we're moving into the new year. And it's like the first time where I could look back and go, most things went the way I had intended. You know, every year prior to this has been, you know, hey guys, you know, we all want to take a piece of a bonus pie this year, but it's probably not going to happen the way we had planned. Sorry, you know, and this year, you know, we got to, you know, kind of make up for lost time. So it's just it's a 10-year battle. You know, I don't know. I feel like, you know, put 10 years in, like if you're struggling, you're still fighting and you haven't crossed the 10-year mark, well, just keep fighting. Cause I don't think you can do 10 years of busting your hump and fighting for what you want, and not attain it. Here's a saying, and I don't know who came up with this, but I've used this several times. And I think maybe I learned it from you, but we all tend to underestimate or overestimate what we can accomplish in a year, right? We set these goals. I'm going to do this, and we overestimate what we can accomplish. We also underestimate what we can accomplish in 10 years. So set goals that are at different tiers, and just trust the process and push through the 10-year plan, no matter how hard it is before you get to that point. So I've had far more losses than wins, guys. Yeah. But I think that we're starting to turn the tables, and I hope it continues to go in the direction it's going. So,
dude, we should do we should literally do a whole webinar on our failures. I mean, we could literally talk. You failed. We could so many times. I failed over and over. So you just dropped some. This is just rich gold nugget. I wrote this down, Grant, as you were talking. That's probably one of the wisest things I've heard you say. You've said a lot of good stuff over the years.
Pretty sure.
So step one, so your 10-year goal. People underestimate what they create in a year and overestimate what they can create in 10 years. So set a big goal. And if you're less than 10 years, keep going. I will echo 1,000% what you just said, Grant. My first 10 years in business as an entrepreneur was ugly. I don't think I made more than 28 grand a year in my first 10 years of business. I'm pretty sure I was negative. I could talk about that. Second part is trust the process. So set a 10-year goal, commit to 10 years in your craft. How many of you guys have done that? Have you committed to 10 years in your craft, or are you still sticking your toe in the ground and saying, I'm going to see if this works? You can post in chat if you want. Just be honest with yourself right now, though, because I can promise you, if you're sticking your toe in the water, you won't be around in 2 or 3 years. You'll be on to the other shiny objects. The people that succeed in this business are the ones that commit to the long term. And one of the ways you do that, Grant, is you build a tight team. I mean, I think it's harder to quit. It's easier to quit when you're by yourself. When you got Taylor depending on you, and your wife depending on you, and Charles depending on you, and we've got 30 plus people in the Philippines depending on us, there's a little more at stake, and it helps to keep us a little more motivated. So that's the second part. Trust the process. And then key 3 that you just said, Grant, which is so worth repeating, is persevere. Right. You got to push through there's going to be obstacles. Okay. Even in scripture, Jesus talks about this. When you become a believer, he doesn't promise you to be born again and then it's easy. That's not what this earth is about. We live in a sinful world. It's a broken world. Business is broken. You're going to have relationships that break. You're going to have vendors that break. That's just part of the process. How you respond, 2020 hits, right? All of us, we've all been affected by it. How you respond is going to dictate your success in 2021, 2022, 3, 4, 5. So what is your 2030 vision? Maybe we should be talking about that. So, that's just rich, dude. 3 keys. So set a 10-year goal, trust the process, and persevere, man. You couldn't have said it any better. I feel like that's the key to success right there.
Well, I think there's even maybe one more you could add to that list. And again, I'm pretty sure this is something I heard you say and probably learned from you, was focus on all the wins, no matter how big or small, right? And so if you're like persevere, Grant said persevere, I don't know if I can do this anymore, right? You need to take a look back, exactly what we're doing on this call, and go, what went well, what worked, how can I replicate that and scale that? And then also celebrate it and reward yourself. Give yourself a soda, right? If you love soda, but you don't drink it because it's got tons of sugar in it. I don't care. I mean, it could be the smallest thing, but focus on what worked. Celebrate what worked and reward yourself no matter how small that is, right? And I think that'll be helpful too.
Rich words, man. I knew this would happen. You guys got to get, when we do these lives, we start off with we're going to talk about the 3 things, and then God always intervenes and just brings out wisdom. So just know, by the way, Grant, me, Taylor, we don't take credit for any of this stuff. All these good gifts come from above. We're just stewards of it. So please hear us and hear that with love too. We're not here to whatever. This is just the truth. We love you guys. And we're just here to share the goodness that's been shared with us. So focus on the wins. What we're doing today, man. If you made $1 on the internet, celebrate that. I remember years. It took me, I don't even know how many years, Grant, to make $1. I remember specifically, this was 2007. I made my first commission on the internet. I was an affiliate for a program called Magnetic Sponsoring. I don't know if any of you guys remember this back in the day. Mike Dillard, he's an OG. He's still to this day one of the few podcasts I listen to. Mike's got, so this is this unselfish plug for Mike Dillard. He's just a brilliant entrepreneur. But man, I was had struggled. And I remember when that commission came in, something shifted. It's like a click in your brain, and it's like, wow, it's possible.
Yep.
So same thing on Amazon. If you can make $1,000, $10,000, if you can make $100,000, just duplicate that. And I think, so getting back to the basics, what we can celebrate our wins. One of the wins I'm grateful for is we made one list and filled it 3 years ago. So this is one, I want you guys to, this is a principle I've been learning in business recently. I think one of the martial art guys said this, I forget which one it was, but it's like, fear not the man that practices 10,000 kicks. Fear instead the man that practices one kick 10,000 times.
Yeah, right. That's good.
Right? We've been embracing this at Cheddar. We made one list and then we just did it again. We made 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. And we've kept the quality consistent. It's the same product. People say, what's the difference between Cheddar 1 and Cheddar 8? Nothing. It's the same list. It's just different, unique leads. And the people that are on Cheddar 1, a lot of them have been on it for 3 years and they never leave. That's the difference. So Cheddar 1's got people that have been around longer. Cheddar 8's newer. We've also rolled out replens this year, something else to celebrate. How are you guys liking the replens? Type in the chat. Give us some honest feedback on the replens. We haven't done a follow-up survey. We released replens on Cheddars 1 through 4 initially as a beta. The feedback was unanimous that you guys love it. It's helping you to be more focused with your sourcing. And then what we did is we said, okay, well, any list that's been around for 6 months or more, that should be about enough data to have the team looking for replens. We're going to start publishing replens. So we've rolled out replens on all 8 lists now, which for those of you guys that are new, you're probably used to this. Basically, that's more leads, same price. So your cost per lead goes down, more value. We didn't ask for you guys to pay for it. That was just our gift to you. We found a way to be more efficient. Let me know how you guys are digging those, though.
We got replens on Feta, too.
Yep. We got replens on Feta. We got more replens coming.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, cool. Let's go through. I want to keep celebrating, man. I can't keep up with your comments, guys. So I'm just going to keep going through this in order that they come in. So I appreciate this. Connie Brown said, among the things I am most thankful for this year is meeting the OA Cheddar team. Thank you all for what you do. Appreciate that, Connie.
Yeah.
Appreciate you being part of the community too. So that's sweet. It makes us feel good. James Crenshaw, I forget the question I asked you. It says yes. It's cool. I like yes. One of my favorite words. So thanks for sharing that. Hey, quick TV timeout. You guys that are on early, we'll just do a quick commercial. So some of you guys may or may not know, Sarah and I moved our family during this pandemic. This is one of the big shifts. That's why I'm tuning in. This is the first broadcast from Northern Colorado in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. So Sarah and I came out here. We rented a house. I could talk about that if you guys are interested. Rented an Airbnb. We've been in Airbnbs for the last 3 months. That's kind of crazy to think, Grant. And then we're moving into our next rental in January. But this is what I'm looking at here. I'm going to turn this around. I don't know if you guys can see this view here.
Yeah, looks awesome.
Dude, yeah. It's kind of cloudy today. So that's Steamboat Mountain right there. And I'm not sharing this to brag. I'm sharing this because it's been a part of our vision. And Grant, this goes back to attending that Life and Air event in 2014, which you guys have heard me talk about Life and Air. It completely changed our life, me and Sarah's life. And Grant, you can talk about that too. You've got a lot of influence.
Same.
I got a vision in 2019, wrote it down, wanted to live in a small mountain town and go skiing, go hiking, go mountain biking, go snowmobiling. And we moved out here and let's see, Sarah and I went sledding Thursday. So yesterday, Grant, dude, I went out to visit you, Grant. You're a half hour from the mountain. I was so envious of you when I went to visit you a couple of years ago. So we loaded up the sleds yesterday, Thursday morning. Sarah took off work. We drove up. It was a half hour from our house. I was on snow within an hour, and it was like a half hour to the summit. Same kind of situation where we rode with you guys. And I'm just like, pinch me, man. This is like in my backyard now. And so anyways, that's why we came out here. But I thought that's I guess that's one of our personal wins this year. And if you guys may or may not know my wife, Grant, you know my wife, she is like AAA red personality. And when we were in Chicago, it's been a tough year for us. She was like, I'm 100%, I want to buy a house and live in Illinois. And then I'm like, so we sold the condo right at the beginning of the pandemic. I'm like, I got to get out of Chicago. I don't trust the Chicago housing market. Thankfully, we got our condos sold like really quickly. Went out to Utah for a couple months. And without 3 weeks, dude, Sarah, if you're listening, I love you. 3 weeks of being out of Illinois, I took her temperature, spiritual saying, and said, hey, where are you at on a scale of 0 to 100, you know? And I said, living out West versus like living in Illinois. I changed the conversation. And she's like 70-30. And I'm like, sweet, I got 30%. And she's like 70%, I want to stay out West. And I was like, I mean, God just did. I couldn't believe it, dude. I thought I was done. Like, put a stake in me. My wife wants a house. I got to get her a house. Anyways, I say this. Why am I telling you this story? Because God moves mountains in weird ways. And I'm not saying this is like us moving to Colorado may or may not even affect you guys. I hope it inspires you. That's my point of this whole story, is that we had to go through a lot of pain and uncertainty and fear and letting go of old things to embrace. Now I'm doing this webinar with you guys, looking out at like one of the most epic views I've ever seen in my life. And we're only here for like a month. But anyways, I share that story. Hopefully that inspires some of you guys. So cool here. Let's see. Ed Daisy. Let me see if I can get through these. There's so much to celebrate, Grant. I don't want to stop celebrating.
Me either. Me either.
Right? Are you cool if we'll keep doing this and then we'll get So there is an announcement. We are coming, we promise, and it's going to come here real soon. So let's see here. Ed Daisy, Ed Dassey. Forgive me if I'm butchering your last name. First real year of Amazon, and thanks a lot to Cheddar. We are going to have a 230K to 240K year.
Yep.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. First year, man.
It's awesome.
Congratulations, Ed. Grant, I don't think you guys, how long did it take you guys to cross 6 figures in sales?
Oh, man.
It wasn't your first year, was it?
Probably our second year, I think. I'd have to go back and look. Yeah. I think I was under 200,000 in my first full year.
Okay. Yeah. Well, way to hit the ground running, Ed. Ed had a little secret weapon that you didn't have, though, too, Grant. He had Cheddar.
True.
So you were, back when you were starting, that was a big part of the pain. That's one of the reasons we started Cheddar, was to fix that problem. Sellers were like, how do I find profitable products to resell? And without spending all day, because you could spend 8 hours just doing lead generation and then you haven't done any buying or anything else. So that's good to hear, man. That's good to hear. Jeff Vacca. Okay, here we go. Responses. Oregon. So Jeff's tax-free state was in Oregon. So cool, Jeff. Small win, big win, though. Systems. Adam Peterson, auto and gating for me as well. It just happened a couple weeks ago. So nice. Fresh auto and gating. Another cool testimonial. I like to see that.
Well, we're on that
Scott
topic.
Hadley. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, while we're on that topic, it might make sense because everybody's probably seen higher volume than normal over the last, couple months. It might make sense if you haven't really been checking to see if you're can get auto and gated in some major brands that you've normally been gated in. It might be time to go and see if you can do that and unlock some stuff.
I think that's a good point, man. It's a good time to go check right after, especially after all the holiday sales you guys have been getting recently. So cool, man. Scott Hadley, OG. Scott, you've been around for a couple years, man. I hit over 50K for a month for the first time this Q4, and on track to hit $250,000, 250,000 for the year, despite a horrible Q2. So respect, Scott. Good to see that, man. I know you've had to persevere through your own challenges to get to what you've created. So respect, brother. And glad to see you still in the game. Q2, Q3, I think hit a lot of people. It hit us too, man. We saw a little jolt at the beginning, overcame that obstacle and kept on trucking. So cool. Ed, this is a follow-up to the question earlier from Ed. When we hit 150K, so I'm guessing in sales, all sorts of ungating happened. Okay, so relatively not that much, Grant. Yep. That's good to hear. Yep. I know it was different back in the day when you guys were going through it, so. Don Carter, first full year, 10 to 15K per month. Man, a lot of first years really strong out of the gate. That's good to see. Congratulations, Don. Let's see here. Kirsten, Roanna, I started being consistent with the help of my first prep center. So the prep center helped you be consistent. So I'm glad to see we made that recommendation a couple years ago for you guys to first thing to outsource is your pack and prep. So Grant, first thing you outsourced. Yep. With your pack and prep, you brought Charles on to help with that internally. You can either bring on someone if you've got the volume or just find a tax-free prep center. There's pros and cons to each. We can talk about that later, but that frees you up to focus on better, more income producing activities. So that's the good foundation stuff. Sold my first $300 in 1 week thanks to OA Black. So right on, Kirsten. Glad to see that. James Crenshaw, he's following up on your question, Grant. That's gonna make us look bad. No experience, no prior experience. Use Cheddar for sure. Cool. Or maybe that's a good time. So no prior experience, Cheddar. I like that.
Yeah. I like that too.
It's gotta make it feel good, right, man?
Yeah.
I think as we're talking about things to celebrate, and Grant, this is something I haven't shared with you as much. I've been really tapping into, Tony Robbins talks about the 6 human needs. I recommend you guys look that up if you haven't looked up the 6 human needs, because it's extremely valuable in knowing what drives you as a human and knowing what drives your team as humans. Because each one of us has needs, and if those needs aren't being met, weird things happen. And so for me, service and contribution has been, it's like certainty, uncertainty, relationships. I forget the other one. Those are like the 4 main ones. And then contribution and growth are like 5 and 6. So I've been really tapping into contribution, and it's been, our big part of our vision for 2021 through 2025 with you guys on Cheddar is how do we serve and contribute to enrich your life spiritually, financially, relationally, not just with OA data. So we're glad that we can serve you guys with data, but we're taking a bigger service approach. And I can see the results showing, in our community. Our community is growing. We're attracting really high quality people. We're attracting people that are joining the service and using the service for years, like 2, 3, 4, 5 years as they build out their business. So it's good to hear, James. So you're a byproduct. That's a bad word. You're a product of some of that thinking and contribution. So Stephanie Cochran, what's up, Stephanie? Expanded to sell my returns on Poshmark and learned how to fly on eBay. So cool. So built an exit valve in her business for her returns. Grant, have you guys done anything with Poshmark?
No, but we do liquidate pretty much everything that's still eBay sellable. I use that term because eBay sellable is different than Amazon sellable. Yeah. And so, yeah, we do a lot of liquidation through eBay.
Cool, man. Congratulations, Stephanie. Robert Brown, RAOA mix, hustling, chasing a hot item. I think that was a follow-up to an earlier question. Leah Modlin. Guys, just apologize in advance for everybody's last name. Okay, I'm just going to, it's a weird thing with the internet. Had my largest month post a 2-month deactivation, 70% chunk leads. So had an obstacle come at you, Lee, 2-month deactivation, not for sure what happened. Praise God, you got reactivated. And then had your largest month post that, 70% chunk leads. Good to hear.
Awesome.
Chunks be chunky this year, man.
Chunks be chunky, dude.
We didn't talk, chunks might be one of the most underrated assets of Cheddar. We just don't, Taylor, you see all of our lists on a high level. What's your thoughts on chunks?
I think chunks are great. Chunks have been great this year. There's lots of diversity with the products. They're usually faster moving products. Really bought in a lot from chunks as well this year. So yeah, it's very good. It was something we've done in the past, and then we really wanted to push more into it and be like, hey, it's a weird year this year. You're not going to make all your money, chasing after those toy items. It's really going to be big on a whole scale. So we really pushed chunks and expand that early on this season. And I think it's one of the main reasons why we've had a good Q4.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Christmas. So for those of you guys that are like, what chunks are you guys talking about? What chunk list? It's a Christmas chunks when we're talking about, and it was a bonus that was a part of Cheddar Black. So one of the lists that was included in the Cheddar Black package. So, cool. I'm going to move as quickly as I can, Grant, because I see we've got about 10 minutes, and then we got to get to our big announcement. So Gary Snow had a question. It says, what do you guys use for a list/software for profit and loss each month? Thanks.
Inventory Lab and QuickBooks. Inventory Lab, we keep it down to sales, cost of goods sold, and then Amazon expenses. We don't put any other expenses in there. So that gives us our gross profit. And then after Amazon expenses and cost of goods and inbound shipping, all that. And then in QuickBooks, we narrow it down to after all overhead and payroll, what is our net?
Cool. Simple. Lori, we are in the 1% still here at the end of the year. Praise God. So I think this was in a response to earlier. Indeed. David Christensen. I can almost see your Facebook profile. It's funny. It's funny. It's how when I connect with you guys, it's always see. Last time we did a last live event, Grant, I think that was one of the biggest takeaways. We did an event pre-Cheddar. This was like 4 years ago, before Cheddar was created, and people are always like, "Hey, you look different than your Facebook profile." And
Yeah.
you're like, well, yeah, I'm not an inch tall on the internet.
Right. No, I'm 6'4".
Yeah, you guys might. Okay, so fun fact: how tall are you, Grant?
I'm 6 foot.
6 foot. Taylor, how tall are you?
6'3".
6'3", and then I'm 6'4". So
Yeah.
we're actually much bigger men in real life
Yeah.
than we look on the internet. Now I don't know what for whatever that's worth.
I'm bigger
Fun
this
fact,
way.
Yeah, fun fact of useless information that just to help you out this holidays. Let's see here. David, I've been selling for 2 years. Cheddar helped me shop smarter and spend less time in the store. Next step is to outsource prep.
Yes.
Time savings. That is good to hear. That's one of our core values as a company is how do we give you guys time? How do we create time for you so that you can focus on the key parts of your business and then be with your family? Grant, key example of this. I want to celebrate a win for you. You took off the last 2 days. What have you been up to the last 2 days?
I went sledding on Thursday, but not the type of sledding you did. I took the boys to a hill across the couple blocks down the road, and we had a heyday. And then we had some chocolate bombs after that, or cocoa bombs. We bought a bunch of cocoa bombs. So that was my Thursday. And then I think just relaxing. Yesterday, I went and did a little stocking stuffer Christmas shopping after dropping the boys off at my mom's to decorate cookies. Which was that was like my favorite pastime or tradition growing up. So she shares that with my boys now. And then we just hung out, and Ashley and I hung out yesterday evening, had no boys at home. So you can imagine that was a nice break, especially for her. And that's actually what my job has been the last couple of days, is relieving Ashley so that she can focus on work and some of the things that she's behind on. So, yeah, it's been good. It's just been good to relax and trust these guys to do great work, and I get to play around a little bit for a couple of days.
So that may sound like normal. Okay, cool. Grant went sledding with his kids. I want you guys to get something. So, and Grant, I'll speak to you too, man. This is, sure. You and I had calls years ago where you were like in tears because you worked so hard, and I don't know where this, we're not going to get into all the details of this now. I know you don't want to, but you had been taught as a kid that hard work equals success. And so you'd been like addicted to working hard. And you were in tears with me on the phone one day and said, I don't get to spend the time with my boys. And specifically, one of the things you said, I don't know if you remember this back then, you said, I want to like take them sledding. And so Here you are, take them sledding without feeling guilty. I think that was the word, because you would feel guilty if you weren't working, but then you would realize that then you would feel guilty that when you're working because you're not with your kids. I don't know if anybody, type in yes in chat if any of this identifies with you, because I know I grew up with my own like hard work equals success stuff, and here you are, like 5 years later, I think 4 or 5 years later, taking 2 days off of work. It's a big deal for you. You guys don't know how hard Grant's one of the hardest working people that I know, and you are too, Taylor. Both you guys are extremely hardworking people, and I've been, sharing with you for years too to create this. So that's good to hear, man. That's a big win. Yeah. 2 days off, that's precious time with your boys. You sowed seeds that are going to last them for their whole life. You created memories that are going to last for their whole life. Being with dad on the hill, that's huge, man. Yep. So props to you, brother.
No, I appreciate that. And, we're doing something different too. One of my big goals this year is Christmas traditions in my house. And I went and sat with a pastor last year and was expressing some of my frustrations with my own fatherhood, and how I was participating and performing and because Christmas was just kind of dull. We were sick all last year during Christmas week. And so that just kind of nosedived the whole season for me. And I think, and the boys still had fun because they're boys. But I was sitting back watching things transpire and was just depressed about it. I was like, this sucks. Like I've done a crappy job as a dad this Christmas, and went and sat down with one of our pastors, and he said, it's not all about Christmas Day, man. It's about tradition, Christmas tradition. He's like, what do you do for tradition? I was like, nothing. I have no Christmas traditions in my home. And he's like, just rattled off all these things. I was like, what do you do? And he just rattled off like 10 different things they do every year that makes Christmas and makes the holidays what it is in their family. And all the kids look forward to it. And so that's what really these 2 days off. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, I'll be focusing on, okay, what what traditions are we going to start establishing? So I've got some ideas, and so that's what next week's going to really be about. Just turning that leaf and setting a precedent for following seasons, and help these kids celebrate not just Christmas and gifts and all that junk, but really celebrate what the season's about, and Jesus and you know, his birth and all of that. So just excited. It's yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. And I'm happy to share anything and to discuss anything you want to talk about on this call. So.
Yeah. So, okay. So I just felt the prompting. So we got about 5 minutes until I want to wrap this up. And we do this every call. We want to share our faith with you guys in an authentic way. And it always seems there's always just so much great content. I'm looking at the chat. There's 53 new celebrations that we haven't got to. So I'm just going to pause on those for now. So if I didn't get to yours, we'll still celebrate it in the group. In fact, we're going to screenshot all these. I do want to ask you, so we'll do this like in 5 minutes or less, Grant. We'll wrap this up, and then we're going to get to our big announcement. So you guys hang on. Sure. We're going to talk about that. Let me just ask you, I feel a prompting, Grant. We should do like a faith call, like a full call, and really share, because your story is incredible. There's things about my past that's incredible. How is God a part of your business and life? Like, were you born a Christian? Did you get saved at a certain time? What's the like short version, I guess, of your story?
Sure. Yeah. Short version, you know, my parents took us to church pretty much every Sunday, Wednesdays, youth group, the whole thing. We were involved. And I probably really established my faith sometime in my early teens. I can't really say exactly the moment, because it was just kind of a slow process and really taking that on. I would say when I was about 20 years old, 19, 20 years old is when I really met Jesus. I got an audio Bible, and at that time, you know, on discs, and I would listen to the New Testament over and over and over anytime I was in my car. And I really started to know Jesus as a person, not just as the God figure, the Son of God, you know, the Savior, but as a person, his personality. You can hear it in the text, right? Especially if it's audible, right? You can really get a sense for his character as a person, because he was fully man, right? And fully God, right? And we look at God and it's like, he's this thing, but Jesus came and was like, no, I'm God as a man. Let me reveal that to you. And so anyway, I really got to know him then. And then in business, in terms of how it relates, like you said, really, I think my biggest struggle and lessons that I've learned, where faith and my love for God and my relationship with God in business really crossed over, was taking on everything on myself, like believing, really working through this belief system that if I work hard enough, if I put in enough hours, I can accomplish what I want to accomplish. And then God's over here, like behind me, right? And I'm running and he's behind me. And there was a time, you know, early on, maybe in the first 2 or 3 years of my business, you know, venture to get out of my job and have a full-time at-home business. And I was really looking at, you know, a mentor. And I remember one day I was praying, and I've told this story before, and I'll tell another one right after this, but you know, I was praying, God, I need a mentor. Who's my mentor? And I had a couple of ideas of who these guys would be that I was following and sort of idolizing. And I can remember exactly where I was driving across the bridge on my way home from work to go back to work on my business. And God just spoke to me. He's like, I am your mentor. I'm the best. I'm the best internet marketer there ever was. I'm the best business builder there ever was. You don't need Rob Ford. You don't need David Wood. You need me. I can guide you. I can take you there. And man, I remember just bawling my eyes out, like, oh my, he's so right. And I still, even after that, struggled with that. Like, how do I let God lead the direction? How do I let him lead me in business? And then it was a slow process, right? God doesn't just, you know, strangle us to death to try to get us to change. He nudges us. He tugs on our shirt, right? He's soft about it. He lets it be your decision, right? Because he's not a God that forces himself on us. He wants us to want to be drawn in, right? And so he's always drawing us in very, very subtly. And I remember there was a time too where I was sitting down. I know exactly, again, where I was in this chair that I was I was doing coaching out of. It was just a weird time, but I was in a recliner doing most of my work. And God, what do you want from me? Like, what is going to take me to the next level? And he said, well, I want your money. I want your money. You love money, Grant, and everything that's driving you is this love of cash. You want results. You want money. You want to be able to buy things. You want to be able to show off. I want your money. Give me your money, and then I'll give you more. Oh, wow. Okay. So I started that process slowly, releasing money out into the ether and trusting that the message that I remember him giving me was, if you start practicing letting money go, then it'll be easier for you to attract money back to you, and it'll come back tenfold. So just start letting it go. And I started doing that. And then once I felt like I had kind of crossed that road, like, okay, I'm comfortable. God, you tell me. And there was some big events where God asked me for large sums that I didn't really have, sums of money that in hindsight, you're thinking, I'm going to pay off debt. I'm going to do these things. God goes, nope, you're not paying off debt. I want you doing this. Really? I mean, times where I'm in my bed convulsingly crying because God spoke to me so audibly, waking my wife up. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, God told me to do this. She's like, well, and I'm afraid to tell her, right? And she's like, well, if that's what God's telling you to do, we better do it. Okay. So then when I got to that point, I'm like, okay, God, you've got my money. Like, I'm not holding on to this anymore. And I'm still learning. Trust me. I'm not, this lesson is being learned every day of my life.
Sure.
And so I'm asking God, I feel like I'm come to a realization. I feel this, I know this, I trust this. I'm going to give my money away when you call me to do it, no matter what the sum is. And, so what's next? I'm still struggling. I'm still broke. I still got all this debt. I'm still not making enough to cover all my bases. What's next? He said, I want your time. You idolize your time, and you're putting all your time is going into business and not in these other fields. I want your time. Give me your time. That's the next phase. Okay. It wasn't maybe a week or two after that, because now I'm open. All right, God, what do I do? I had ideas rolling through my brain. What can I do to serve and to give my time away? And I had all these ideas, like helping old ladies fix their homes. I mean, anything, right? Because I had all these skill sets from my previous work. And again, this is only a couple of years ago. And I was at church and a guy walked up to me, Jason Wells. He said he's probably the only babysitter I ever had as a kid that spanked me because I was such a little turd. But so he's known me my whole life, and it was like, I feel like God put a nudging, something told him, go to Grant, invite him to work on the production team at church. And for the first time in my life, it wasn't, I will think about it, because that had been the response before. And I had embarrassed myself by not even following up on these requests of to do some sort of service, to serve God, to give my time away, because I'm holding on to that time. It's mine, right? And he walked up, he said, Grant, we need some help. I'd like you to join the production team. I'm like, yes, I would love that job, because there was a part of me when I'm in church that felt like I wanted to be part of the service, right? And I was already serving in a couple other areas reluctantly, actually, being kind of pushed and nudged by my wife to do it. And when he came and asked me to do this job in production, I was like, yes, I'm down, teach me, right? So I start doing that. And I got to tell you guys, I've been doing that now for a couple of years, and it has brought more joy and accomplishment and peace and happiness and relationship into my life. When I'm there serving, their time stands still. It's like, and I could be there for 5 hours, and a lot of times I am 5 hours, and it flies right by. I love every moment of it. I love every soul that I'm around, and part of that team. I could cry thinking about it, because I love these people so much. And so all I can say is lean in, right? Ask God, maybe not what he can do for you, but what you can do for him, and he'll take care of the rest. Yeah. And so I think that's my message for this one. So, and then be patient. That comes in with the time factor, right? It's like, hand your time, give me, let go of these things, and then patiently wait for God to come through on his end. Cause he will, he is all powerful, you know what I mean? And he loves us. And when we obey, he rewards. And that's not the goal. The reward isn't the goal. It's really truly obedience. But the cool thing is, when we jump in, when we dive in, he dives in with us and takes on the parts where we just don't have the strength to do it. So
good
amen,
word,
amen.
dude. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, man. This is the authentic Grant, ladies and gentlemen. We'll do more of this. If you guys will be down for this, type in faith in the chat. I'd love to, maybe we'll just do a separate call because we're out of time for today. Something that you said though, Grant, I mean, everything you said is true. My experience of God, I'll share my story on a different call, but he is faithful. He is true. He's omnipresent, omnipotent, has, controls time. So what you give away, I've learned, comes back. Mm-hmm. So if you want money, give money, be faithful with money. He will bless you with more. If you want time and you don't have enough time, it's weird. Go give your time away at church or a charity or someplace, and you will, you'll get time back, but the time that you invest is, I mean, Grant, you can't put a price on the feeling in the flow and the contribution that comes with that. So anyways, one verse, and we'll wrap up here. When you were talking, Grant, for anybody that struggles with, if you feel like the pressure of the world is on your shoulder, the God of the universe asks us to surrender it and leave it at the cross. That's the whole reason Jesus came and lived and died on earth, was for all of our sins. So if you're carrying the sin of anxiety or pressure, or you feel like 2020 is on you, I want to invite you just to leave it at the cross. You can even physically do this right now, whether you're a believer or not. I grew up in the church too, Grant. I grew up knowing all the right things, but I had that real experience, and I'll share that on a later call. But Jesus asks us to drop it and surrender it, and then just walk in freedom. That's what he calls us to do. So this verse came to mind when you were talking, Grant, from Ephesians 2:8. A lot of you guys know this one. For it is by grace that you have been saved through faith, and this is not from yourselves. It is the gift of God. Mm-hmm. Okay, it is by grace that you are saved. So no other religion on earth, everything else that you're going to look for, on earth is about what you do to earn salvation. And Jesus invites us. It's not by what you do, actually. The doing's been done. It's this backwards thing. So anyways, we love you guys. Grant, I really appreciate you authentically sharing your story. We'll have to do more of that. Kind of feeling maybe we start off the new year with a faith call. I think it'd be valuable for all of us to strengthen that. So, hey, I want to bring this to a point though today. We're going to hang out here, and we do have some big news to talk about. So there's 84 new messages in chat that I haven't read yet. So we'll probably hang out after we finish this announcement for a few minutes and hang out with you guys. If you're watching the recording, thank you from the bottom of our heart for being a part of the Cheddar family. We really believe that we are a community together, and we are stronger together than any one of us is individually. We pray that you're blessed and enriched, not just by the leads. The leads is actually a very small portion of what we believe we're here to do to enrich your life, but even by these calls and everything. So, Grant, anything you want to say in conclusion for the year before we end the recording today?
There is actually one of the things that I say to our team in the Philippines a lot is I really emphasis on the difference that they're all making in their lives, their families' lives, and in all of your lives by working hard and producing a great product. And I want you guys all to know too, that I thank you, and we recognize that you're all making a difference too, in not just in your life, your family's life, by working hard, but you're making a difference in our lives, and you're making a difference in the lives of these people, these 38 people we have in the Philippines. They take it very seriously what we're doing, and they know the impact that they're having on you. But I want you guys all to know the impact that you're having on them. Their lives are being transformed. They're making a huge difference in the lives around them, and because of your patronage and your support for what we do, and it's a great trade-off, right? Great product, and then you guys supporting that, and so it goes both ways, and we love all of you, and thank you for your contribution to the group, as either someone who's there to answer questions, when they get posted to the group. Those of you that have participated on a high level in Cheddar Black, and again, it goes crosswise too. All of you that are participating in Cheddar Black, all of you that are participating in the group and what we're doing, you're also impacting each other. And so it's just a really cool, it's just awesome. We love you guys. And just the fact that there's 91 of you on here right now is an honor. I don't think I've ever been on a call with 91 people just sitting and hanging out. So it's pretty cool. We love you.
Yeah, brother. Well said, man. Thank you for you. Taylor. So Taylor got brought in as official operations, so general manager of Cheddar this year. So Taylor got promoted kind of quietly. He's been doing an awesome job.
Yeah.
Not just running the buying for Grant, you and for your business, but also, running all the hiring for Cheddar. I mean, everything flows up to Taylor. So Taylor, closing thoughts for the season, man. We've accomplished a lot this year. We've doubled in growth. You've done a great job with hiring the team. Closing thoughts for the year.
We're talking about perseverance and overcoming obstacles, and Grant's talking about faith, and the two go hand in hand. Sometimes you gotta look back and to see the results and where God was working in your life and in your business and how it all transpired. Every positive change that we've had in our business, whether it's through the Amazon store or with OA Cheddar, came from an obstacle. Go back 3 years from now, and it was, Grant hired me on, and we're kind of sitting in the truck thinking there was some lessons that were learned, and we're not sure if this is going to work out. We keep on, pushing forward and grinding, but we're not seeing results. And that obstacle took Grant into a different direction and he started doing some coaching. And then that coaching came up with a new obstacle. Where do we find, where do our coaching clients find profitable products? And that, spewed into, OA Cheddar. And even now to the thing that, Project X that we're going to be talking about, there was an issue, a problem that came up, an obstacle for our customers. How do we overcome this? And we see, when I look back and kind of think about what this journey that I've been on when I left my job selling cars to join Grant, which was a God thing in and of itself. I'm going to share this real quick. When I was looking when I jumped ship, before I did, I had three options: either stay at my current job. I was working for a great car dealership, locally owned. My cousin worked there. Great, amazing place to work, making good money. I could either go as I had an opportunity to be a sales manager for dealerships over in the Spokane area, making even better money. And I wasn't sure if I should go and do that. Or my third option was going to be to join Grant, because we talked about it for years, just talking about how, hey, this is going to be a big thing. And when I'm ready, come join. And that was the least obvious answer. Grant had two of his friends working for him at the time. And, it was just, the timing didn't seem like it was ever going to make sense. And I remember going to a Bible study and telling my buddy who I was with, I need to know what to do, because I want to make a move and I'm not sure what direction we go. We sat there and prayed about it, went into the Bible study. Grant called me in the middle of the Bible study, came out, talked to him. He said, hey, my friends are, my guys are leaving. Do you want to come work for me? And I was like, well, I don't really have a choice. That was a direct answer to prayer. I'm going, let's go. And looking back at this journey, it's just, there's been so many times where the obstacles seem bigger than, not so big that you couldn't overcome it. And yet they did. And looking back now, I can see the fingerprints of God and where he was shifting and taking, with Grant sharing that he needed to give up his money and also give up his time, and to not, make God the mentor and the lead factor in the business, not himself. And through that change, where we're at even today, now in 2020, we switched to OA completely in the beginning of 2020. If we were doing full retail arbitrage during this pandemic, the amount of time just to be able to go into a store to purchase products, I mean, let alone, I hate wearing a mask myself. Having to wear one for 8 hours a day would not seem fun to me. Yeah. But just traveling around and trying to navigate around, all these changes of this year. But yet, for some reason, we got pulled into a direction of OA before any of that happened. And I can look, looking back, I'm like, well, that's God. Yeah. That's God protecting our business, coming in and starting changes that we didn't know what was going to happen. Yet here we are having one of the best year we've ever had. I granted if I'm wrong, but I think this might be the best year we've had. And we're doing it all from, I mean, all my prayers were answered. I'm at home. I'm able to spend time with my friends and family members and build relationships. You know, Charles is stepping up in new roles and being rewarded for that and taking on more responsibility that he wanted to. And it's remarkable to see. And I've had this happen in my personal life where I see God working, and it takes time. It takes, you know, sometimes years to look back and step aside and be like, oh my gosh, he has been with me since I was a little one, you know. And I question it, and it's a good reminder to myself, because sometimes I'm like, you know, like, God, where are you? You know, like I feel like I'm so alone in this moment. But then it's a reminder of like, no, you've been with me since forever, and you're always, you know, you're leading and guiding me. So I guess the thing I'm saying is welcome the obstacles, persevere through them. Every business starts with a great idea, and then, you know, a very excited thought of, you know, I'm going to be super successful. Everything's going to be super great. And then you run into an obstacle. Once you run into that obstacle, many people will stop right there and then recycle and start with something else and just keep hitting that wall and then going back to the beginning. It's the ones who persevere, who end up becoming successful. And that's just with hard work, with faith, with keeping your eye on the vision and breaking through any barrier that you might come up against, and taking that lesson and learning from it, and not being afraid to pivot and change to a different direction. If that obstacle comes in, it might be an answer to prayer, because God's closing one door and saying, hey, don't open this. You know, if it was up to you, you'd go through that door, but I know that this door over here yields better rewards for you. Just go. So just persevere, guys. It's been a tough year, but it's also been a great year in many ways. And I'm excited for 2021. I'm excited to see, you know, where we keep going. And I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for everything that we have, you know, in my life and in this business. I'm grateful for our Filipinos. You guys have no idea how much their life has been impacted by this, by OA Cheddar and you guys. I mean, I really wish I could explain it in detail, how amazing, you know. I had a message from one of our people last night who had a really rough year. They lost their grandma, and it was dang it, Grant, this is your job to start getting called up. They lost their grandma this year, who was like a mom to them. It was their two sisters. And we're sitting there doing the white elephant, and one of these girls, she's kind of picked up this role of being like a motivator. She does like all the fun stuff with the group. She has such a really warm personality. And she messaged me this really nice message, just saying like, thank you so much for this year. It's been really hard this year, but I found an extended family through Cheddar and her coworkers and stuff. And they're able, and she's just, her and her sister, throughout not only a pandemic, but also losing somebody very close to them, has a little bit of joy, because she has this group of people in the Philippines
that love her back,
and that love her back. And she has bosses who love her, and she's able to have a connection. You know, they're in way more of a lockdown than we are. I mean, they can't leave their town. They can barely be outside as it is. So to have a community of people in this team to be able to have a relationship with, you know, whereas in a lot of the jobs that she would have been working, she would have been by herself with really no one to talk to.
Right.
It's really warm and inspiring, and makes me feel really good about what we're doing here. And, you know, yes, it's a business, but it comes from you guys, the customers who, you know, make this possible. And just the ability to, and it comes from Grant and Gabe, and having such a strong feast type mentality, where they want to give more and they want to encourage and build up people and stuff. And it doesn't, you know, it's really cool. You know, I'm really grateful to be part of this. And I hope that makes sense. I'm kind of rambling.
It does. It makes perfect sense. And I'll jump in real fast and just say, we're extremely grateful for you, Taylor. Like, you know, we surveyed the group, the Filipinos, maybe a month ago or so. And, you know, I was reading through these, you know, because we asked questions like, what's your favorite thing about working for OA Cheddar? How can OA Cheddar be better? Stuff like that. And I'm reading through these comments, and it was like a theme. I'm part of a family. Thank you so much for bringing me in and letting me be a part of this group. I'm so grateful for all these people, you know, and however else they verbalized it in their responses. And I'm sitting here at my computer crying, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like the impact that Cheddar is having goes so much deeper than we even know on all levels. It's awesome. And so I would just commend you too, Taylor. You've done such an amazing job. I mean, I think relationships are your strong suit. For me, it's a weak point, I think, a little bit. I'm kind of in relationship a lot because it's just the direction I'm being pulled in. Whereas you dive into relationship, and that's what makes you a great leader for them. And anyway, so I'll let that go. But no, those great words, dude. That was well said.
Yeah. Well said, man. We could, we're all grateful. There's so much, man. Taylor, you've done a great job this year. Grant, you've done a great job this year. You guys that are watching, your Cheddar subscription matters. Like, it makes a difference. You're not just a part of some lead list thing. You're making an impact in someone's family all the way across the world. So it's a cool thing. So let's bring us to a point, Matt. We got to share this announcement.
Hold on. Before you do that, Gabe, I just want to recognize you. You guys, you have to realize, and I know I've mentioned this before, but a lot of what we do is the idea starts because Gabe asks the question, and Gabe will ask the question even after he's been turned down by me or Taylor or some company. He'll ask the question again, and then again, and then again. And we're not staying in the same conversation. This might run out for months. And by the fourth time he asks the question, we come up with a solution like replens, right? And he might have to go to me and get a no from me, right? Then he'll go to Taylor and get a yes from Taylor. Taylor comes to me and I'm like, that makes sense all of a sudden, you know? And so I got to tell you, for a lot of you, like the success of Cheddar, if it was up to me, I think we'd probably still be at 2 lists, right? But Gabe has pushed the agenda forward. How can we do more? How can we contribute more? How can we provide more value? And that's what is what's making Cheddar into what it is. Yeah. And so I just want to thank you, Gabe, for like, you are the true visionary behind this project. You know, and I love having you be that person and really drawing out the value out of Taylor and myself, and then bringing that to the group. We might be the ones that kind of do the work and stuff, but that work wouldn't be happening if you weren't. And when I say do the work, I mean getting down and like drafting up the solution that Gabe thinks of, right? He's like, there's got to be a way to do this. How do we do it, guys? How do we do it? And then we sit there and start thinking and writing, drafting things out. And so the things that we're going to show you right now, you guys, I want you to know this is just a funny story. Like, I pushed back on this project that we're working on, Project X, quite a bit. And but Gabe continued to pull me in. Let's continue the conversation. And as that conversation has progressed, we've been able to develop something really cool, and we have so much more behind what you're about to see. And I don't know exactly what you guys have planned, so hopefully I'm not like misspeaking or something. Perfect. But there's so much more behind this project, and again, it all results in Gabe's visionary skills. It's a true gifting. And so I would encourage you guys, if you're like the workhorse guy, if you're the guy that can sit down and grind it out, and that's your strong suit, go find a visionary to partner up with, someone who can help you look past the piece of paper in front of you or the project in front of you, all the work that might be involved in that, and then have that type of person that can really draw. So I think it's perfect in partnerships. Yep. I don't know exactly how to define it, Gabe, but we do really complement each other. And over the years, and just there was times when I didn't really understand Gabe yet, and we struggled. That's just full transparent. We struggled because I didn't understand him. I don't know if Gabe quite understood me yet, but as we've moved into this year, really, and last year, all of last year and into this year, it's like, I can't tell you how many times, Gabe, I've looked back and been like, thank you, Gabe. Like, thank you so much for pushing the agenda far beyond my visionary capabilities. So I love you for that. And we're all blessed because of your contribution, bro.
Dude, I appreciate that, man. I'm a words of affirmation guy, so it's good to hear that. Yeah, you and I have certainly it's not all been pretty, and so thankfully we're both believers and we both surrender to the same God. So I think that's the only reason that we're here right now today. But the vision, Grant, with your systems and drive, putting these things into play, like none of my visions get to come true. So it's a perfect, I think that's why we've been successful. And Taylor, having you be a part of the operations side and getting to really follow through on the systems that we set in place. And so why am I sharing this? Because the way that our company is set up, you guys can duplicate this. We want you to figure out, again, tie this all together, we started this webinar, figure out what your strength is and find a way to build a team that surrounds that. So
yeah.
Grant, I appreciate that. That is a perfect segue to reveal our Project X. So let's wrap up the broadcast in true Cheddar style. We just want to, this is going to be a longer one today if you guys are cool. So we'll end the recording now. Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful New Year. God bless you and your family in the new year. We've got some really cool stuff planned for January, and the reveal starts right now. So thanks for watching, guys. If you're on the Zoom Hangout, I'll end the recording, and then we'll be right back.
Bye,
Merry
everybody.
Christmas, everyone.